Ukraine has suspended work towards a free trade deal with the EU. The country's parliament voted against a draft that would have let the jailed former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko get medical treatment abroad. Europe had demanded her release as a prerequisite for further integration. RT's Alexei Rashevsky looks at Kiev's decision.
2 months ago, it was touted as a done deal. On Thursday, Ukraine's government all but completely ruled out that an association agreement with the EU would be signed next week. Instead, rebuilding trade ties with Russia and CIS was made the priority.
Probably, at some stage of ascending to the top, the weather is unfavorable.
The 180-degree turnaround comes after months of openly voiced concerns that Ukraine's economy would simply collapse if it formed the free trade zone with the EU, which in turn promised no compensations on potential losses.
I think it's a lucky escape, really, because I think that this deal was bad news for the Ukraine. It would be like somebody today going back in time to 1912 and buying a ticket for the Titanic. It would have been a national suicide for the Ukrainian government to have signed this.
Just a few days before that led
We haven't gotten a clear signal from our European neighbors that the losses which we had suffered in the last 4 months would be compensated by entering new markets and European markets. We will need to halt the work of a dozen of our enterprises, but our country can't afford firing tens of thousands of workers.
But the real bone of contention is the fate of jailed former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko. The EU has been insisting she must be either set free or at the very least be allowed to travel to Germany for medical treatment, or there would be no deal. Continuous failings of the parliament to pass any such laws suggested that letting Yanukovych's biggest rival out only 18 months before the country's election was clearly not on the president's wish list. Finding himself now between a rock and a hard place, on Sunday Yanukovych will watch tens of thousands hit the streets for the anniversary of the 2005 Orange Revolution. And just like 9 years ago, it has every chance to be a very loud protest. Alexei Rashevsky, RT, reporting from Kiev in Ukraine.
And the decision to postpone further integration has split the Ukrainian parliament. You can see it right there and hear it as well. The opposition booing the parliament's refusal to allow Tymoshenko to get medical treatment abroad. Further statements on postponing the idea of European integration were met with calls for the president's impeachment. Around 1,000 activists launched a protest against the decision and called for a mass rally on Sunday, the date coinciding with the beginning of the Orange Revolution. But geopolitical analyst F. William Engdahl, he believes the EU has nothing to offer Ukraine in the first place.
I suspect that the Ukrainian political leadership has a delusional view of what the EU would bring for the Ukrainian economy. Of course, they long to be accepted as a Western European nation and so forth since the breakup of the Soviet Union. But right now, the EU is in a kind of a death spiral. The EU has little right now to offer Ukraine, and if Ukrainian business and political leaders were looking at the thing more realistically, they would concentrate on building stronger bridges to the east, because the future of Europe, Western Europe, not simply Ukraine, but the future of Western Europe, in my view, lies with Eurasia in the sense of Russia, China,